About Biota, that is the digitization software that we're going to demonstrate here. You can find it at the URL that is on this slide, right above the picture. So we chose Biota because it's a really simple software. It's really easy to find, to install, and to use. But it's really not the only one. So it's just to give you an idea of how a digitization software works. But as I said before, you can have a look at the list that we put at the beginning of this presentation and try the different softwares that are listed here and find for yourself which one is going to be the most useful for you. So if you don't like Biota or if it doesn't seem interesting for you, you can have a look at other softwares and see what is best for you and your team and your work. So I'm going to present you Biota that you can find at this address. And you can also download it on this page. So this is at the top of the slide, you can see an URL where you can download the software. So this slide is going to list a few recommendations for the setup and for reading the user guide. So Biota is really simple to download. You just have to download a zip file, and then you can unzip it once the download is finished. Then you can extract the contents to your computer, and you just have to click the Biota app win300.exe file. And normally Biota launches automatically. Just a note, if an error message appears, you don't have to worry. You just have to check the regional settings of your computer, because in order for this software to work normally, the date format on your computer must be day/month/year with 4 numbers. And if you want more information about how to use this software, you can find the user guide at the URL that is on the bottom of this slide. So once you've launched Biota, you arrive on the main page of the software that looks like this. So you can see that this software has a lot of functionalities. We're not going to go into detail for each of them, but I will just show you the main ones about record input, and you will have an idea of what this software is capable of. So the first thing that you can do on this software is to input some specimens in the software. So you just have to click on the red box, and you arrive on this page. It's a pop-up window that appears once you click on the input specimen box. And on this new window, you will see a lot of new information where you can fill in a lot of different fields. So if you want to input a specimen, you will need a specimen number or specimen code. That can be most of the time the catalog number. So you just have to click on the specimen code here, and this new pop-up window will appear. And you will be able to enter the prefix that you want. So if your institution acronym is MNHN, for example, you can put it here and click on Accept Prefix. And then all of your specimen codes are going to be written like this with this acronym in front of the code. Or if you want, you can choose the default prefix that is written here. And all of your specimen codes afterward will be written with this default prefix. But I recommend you to use the prefix you use in your institution. So once you have chosen a prefix, the specimen code can look like this. So this is the first specimen from the MNHN institution. Then you might want to add a species code to your specimen. So in order to link it to a species, to a taxa. So when you click on the species code box here, you can see in the center of the window, you will have a new pop-up window that will appear, and it's the same thing as for the specimen code. You just have to enter the prefix here, or to choose the default prefix and click on accept. And once you do that, you can add more information about the species, such as the genus, the specific epithet, the authorship and date of the description of the species, maybe if you have the information, the subgenus, and other information about the taxon you just entered. Then, if you go back in the main window for specimen input, you will see that you have a lot of tabs. So we were still in a general tab, and now we are going to the determination tab. So you can retrieve here the specimen code that you just entered. And here you can specify the determination history for your specimen. So if you have several labels, for example, or if you know that your specimen was identified by different people on different years, you can add the historical data here for this specimen. If you go then on the preparation tab here, you will still retrieve the specimen code MNHN 00001 that we filled in the general tab. So this is to be sure that we are still speaking about the same specimen. And in the preparation tab, we can add some information about the people who prepared the specimen and the medium of preparation. Then you have the tab auxiliary fields, where you can add some more information about your specimen. Then the next tab is notes. So if you have some notes, some field notes, some collection notes about your specimen, you can add them here. So you can say, for example, that this specimen is linked to another specimen, or that you have some DNA samples for this specimen, or that this specimen was broken and then put back together in year 2000, for example. So you can add really a lot of information here, and of course think of saving the notes and everything. And the last tab in this window is reference. So if you have some literature references that are linked to this specimen, you can add them here. So you can add the identifier for the reference, the author, the year, and the title of the article. So this can be a publication, a book, I don't know, any reference that are linked to one or several specimens in your collection. So once we have seen how we can input some specimens directly into the software, we will have a look at how to input some collection. So this is the red box here in the center of the window. So when you click here, you will have this new pop-up window that will appear, where you can fill in a lot of information about the collection. So this is not about the specimen, this is on a higher level about the collection. So if you don't have any collection that are already registered into the software, you will have to specify the collection code and then other information about the collection. So you can add localities, georeference your collection, and you will also retrieve some auxiliary fields, notes, and references. So we are going to start with the collection code. I went directly into the georeference tab, which is interesting for most of the collections. So you can here you can find the collection code that was specified in the general tab, and you can add here some georeferences. So you have the latitudes and longitude here. And you can also add the accuracy of your coordinates in this field. So you might want to add some localities in your database because it's easier when you do a lot of fieldwork in the same locality so you can add some localities so you don't have to type the name of the locality each time you need it. So when you click on the input locality box, you access this window where you can add a locality code, the locality name, of course, the district, the state or province, the country. If you have the information, you can add the elevation. You can also convert feet to meter. And you can see that you have the same tabs that for the input collection window with georeference, auxiliary fields, notes, and references. And if you want to add some references about your collection of specimens, you can also add them at this when clicking on this box that is in red here. So you can choose the type of reference. Is it an article that was published in a journal? Is it an other type of reference, a book, an atlas, or anything else? You can add the author, the author or the authors of the reference you want to add. You can put the year the reference was published, its title, the journal it was published in, the volume, the pages. Maybe you can have the URL for your reference if it was published online. And here you can put the full reference for citation purposes. And another useful functionality of this software is the ability to add some personnel. So if you have a lot of people that work on the same project, or even if you don't have a lot of people, but you just don't want to retype information about them every time you add a specimen or a collection, you can click on input personnel, and then you will be able to retrieve the names of the people of your institution or organization involved in the management of data. So when you click on the red box that says input personnel, you have this pop-up window that appears where you can add the name of the project or of the group of people, and then you will be able to fill in the information specifically for each person involved with first and last names, title, institution, address, city, country, phone, and email. So this was a really quick presentation of a digitizing software. As I was saying at the beginning of this presentation, Biota is not the only software that is available, so you really have to check that it's compatible with your needs. So if you want to have a look at other softwares or other tools for the management of your collection or your data, it's you we strongly encourage you to do that. So don't hesitate to ask questions to the BID community, to the mentors, to the trainers, to your fellow participants in your groups or in other groups. And because most of the time people will already know and use softwares, so they can answer your questions and recommend you some softwares that you might have missed or didn't know about. So this is it for this presentation. And thank you for listening. And this is the end of the digitization module.